When booting up Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, you'll be greeted with a disclaimer stating this game would be offensive to the modern human brain. It perfectly encapsulates the game's content, also putting to rest the argument of whether or not a remake should be 100% faithful to the original. Set some 10 years after our inexplicably named alien protagonist, Cryptosporidium, came to Earth to salvage DNA for the might of the Furon Empire, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed drops our foul-mouthed, short-tempered and oversexed hero into 1969. An attempt to take revenge on the Russians for interfering in his plans has Crypto embarking on an exotic, globe-trotting adventure worthy of the very best Bond. Well, if Bond was a psychotic little alien killing machine, that is.
That can't be good.
From a wonderfully hippier-sized version of San Francisco called Bay City to a gorgeous rendition of Tokyo called Takashima, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed spoofs everything it can from the era, from spy movies to kaiju hijinks. While the actual gameplay loop remains much the same throughout each location, it's the mission objectives and the surrounding context that help make it feel fresh and engaging, even when you've possessed your 100th human. Whether you're saving British VIPs from mutation, starting a Russian cosmonaut revolution, or fighting ninjas, Destroy All Humans 2 manages to remain addictively fun, even with fairly simplistic and repetitive gameplay, and that's a pretty difficult feat to pull off. The game's humour, which can be quite juvenile, is rather hit and miss. Whether you enjoy it or not will depend on your ability to accept that everything was fair game for ridicule when it first came out in 2006. Just be warned, as that disclaimer states, there's plenty of Hollywood-inspired stereotypes abound. Those easily offended may want to get their hijinks elsewhere. For everyone else, sit down and prepare to laugh or groan your way through a storyline about more alien invasions, unrequited femme fatale love, and further proof that the Furon Empire, for all its mighty scientific know-how, is actually quite dense. The tongue, as they say, is very far into the cheek. Just like its predecessor, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed still plays as a third-person shooter, arming Crypto to the teeth with a gradually unlocked assortment of weapons, most of them returning from the first game. Outside of his projectile weapons, Crypto also has an arsenal of psychic powers at his fingertips that are incredibly useful throughout the adventure. Crypto can read minds, hypnotize people to follow him, erase their short-term memories, make a whole group of people collapse, possess people, and, by far my favourite, simply make their heads explode to harvest their brain matter. The most useful ability, for gameplay purposes, is Possession. It allows you to run around in a human meat suit, thus avoiding detection if you want to get to an objective without a fight, or should you need to wade through a crowd looking for someone. You can, of course, gun your way through these moments as well, but I found the disguise option to be far more favourable. Adopting the run and gun approach alerts humans to your presence, and ensures a constant influx of increasingly dangerous opponents as an alert meter builds up. Wait too long, and the army finally rolls around to make short work of you. Thankfully, humans are rather imbecilic creatures, and jetpacking out of harm's way to the top of a nearby building until the meter cools down is easily done. Now, should anal probing people until their heads explode lose its charm, you can always hop into Crypto's flying saucer for some large-scale destruction, with anti-gravity attacks and a disintegrator beam that would make Wells attacking Martians proud. Sadly, the game doesn't let you use your flying saucer in missions as much as it could, but there's no stopping you from hopping into it between missions, or even during some missions, to wage war against the marginally evolved primates. There's nothing quite like taking down buildings by throwing tanks around. The second game in the series expands the playing field, and it does away with the formula of forcing you to jump back into missions to complete challenges. Instead, the game weaves its challenges into each mission, rewarding you for completing secondary objectives with more upgrade material. These are all worth tackling, as there is a lot to upgrade. You can upgrade each of your ship's weapons and defenses, all of Crypto's weapons, and even Crypto's psychic abilities. For the last one, you'll have to hoover up a specific amount of each NPC and turn them into a genetic cocktail blend. Each region is also full of entertaining side missions that are very much worth your while. If that still isn't enough, you can scour the city for collectibles that unlock artwork and era-specific music. Now, I never played the original Destroy All Humans 2 at launch, but as far as I know, this plays exactly like it did in 2006. The dialogue, the humour, the gameplay loop are exactly the same. It's not a problem, just so long as you can accept that and get on board with game design from this period. It's true that Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed isn't particularly deep, well, mechanically speaking, but the massive locations and pure fun factor make that irrelevant. Despite a packed year of releases big and small, this accounts for some of the most fun I've had in gaming. But that said, onto what has changed, the visuals. The game is now running on Unreal Engine 4, and the quality of the visuals is akin to AAA status. The game is absolutely gorgeous, with stylized art design for both characters and the environments, which pops wonderfully thanks to great lighting and atmospheric effect. The level of detail on the main characters is stunning, and even the NPCs fare well. The level of detail in each environment is also great, from the clogged alleys and parked vehicles in Takashima to the graffiti layered on top of buildings in Bay City. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed makes wonderful use of the power of Unreal Engine 4. Now, these visual updates do have some impact on gameplay. The large-scale destruction you can cause looks better than ever as buildings collapse into a shower of rubble, billowing smoke and debris. Unfortunately, the game does have some issues. Visually, there's screen tearing that's really noticeable in bright lit locations. There's also the common Unreal Engine curse of objects popping in and textures loading late during cutscenes, whenever the camera quickly cuts between characters. There was also an audio bug where sometimes lines of dialogue would repeat instead of moving on to the next sentence. And later in the game, I spotted some obvious slowdown during cutscenes. That said, these were all small niggles in what is otherwise an excellent package on the next-gen consoles. All things considered, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed is an excellent remake that shows you can have all the fancy bells and whistles of modern game engines, while keeping the original fun-as-hell gameplay intact. With stunning visuals and surprisingly fun, addictive, albeit repetitive gameplay, this remake should keep fans of the series happy, well, hopefully making some new ones in the process, just so long as you can lean back and enjoy the wonderful absurdity of it all.